Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about unit tests. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, why is it that software development isn't charged per unit test? Well, because there's no value in a unit test in of itself, it's something that you write to make sure that you get the end results, which is the thing that is value building. You see, when I go to my doctor, I don't pay that person to have a nice and effective way of cleaning his or her hands before they do my examinations or operations and so forth. I pay them to fix the problem. It's the same thing with us software developers, really. You're not paid to write unit tests. It's something that you should be doing because if you do it, your code will work, which is the thing you're being paid for. And you see, this is the problem with most subpart software developers. They don't understand why they're doing things. They do things because they think that it's just for them, like it's like talking to a monkey with a violin, or like it's like watching a monkey with a violin. You have this thing, you don't understand what it's for, you only know that you have to have it because otherwise you're not going to get a job. And it's even that way with the philosopher programmers, where they get into testing and they get mentally attached to the idea that testing is something that is good. It's something that you should be good at because that means that your software is going to get better, and that of course is something that you want. And so they basically don't look at unit testing as something that fulfills a need. They look at it as a craft, or rather, no, it's more accurate to say a religious practice, a ritual, if you will. It's something that they do because if they do it for, it's sort of like the Rosary thing. If you pray enough times to whatever deity you are worshipping, you're gonna get into heaven, right? Or the chances of you getting into heaven is higher. When every single religion is based around the same core principle, which is that if you're a good person, which, well, ideally, if there's some type of justice system in the interstellar cosmics of our universe, it would not mean that if you just you're like murdering people and being horrible your entire life, and then you just go through 100 prayers or something like that, you're paid off, right? It's being a good human is not really something that is as easy as something that is transactional. And the same thing goes for software development. It's not like if you have 100 unit tests or 1,000 unit tests or even 1,000,000 unit tests that your code is better. And as I said, it's not value building. The test is, as I like to tell people, a test is a cost that you pay. And you should understand that it's no different from having a unit test as having insurance. And no sane person would pay insurance for something that either is never going to be a problem, or for something that where the cost of the insurance outweighs the benefit of being secure in that things are going to work. It's similar to you need to have certain security protocols when you're dealing with chemical substances, not because you couldn't transport things without them. It's just that if that oil tanker gets a rupture or something does actually happen, it's a catastrophic impact on everything around it. So that risk makes it very, very desirable to make sure that you're covering all your bases. And one other aspect that is very good to consider is the thing I was talking about with software, just as being a good person or love or anything like that, where the end goal is more important than the means, in a sense. When you make something like software quality a transactional thing, when you actually give monetary incentive to do something specific rather than deliver on end goals, what you're creating is a situation where very rotten and horrible people, the same sort of people, incidentally, if you haven't thought about that, who are very good at trying to find loopholes in systems and trying their absolute darndest to be. They're very good at making sure that they know the precise definition of wordings in legal documents or anything like that. And it's not because they're, well, trying to do something that is good. It is because they're going to try to find ways around it. And I see this behavior all the time, even in fairly good people. It's as soon as you give a human a fairly strict bureaucratic rule set, well, not all humans, because some of us, or some people are actually clever, or I don't know what to call it. We are, or those people, they are at the very least able to understand that just because something is formulated in a sort of odd way, or a way where you can find definition problems, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should go for it, because the intent is to understand the intent of the rule and understand the soul, heart and spirit of it. And I've always found that good people are of good quality and character. They're usually not a problem in this area. It's just really the people who are really trying to exploit the system for their own selfish gain, usually, that do this. And that is what happens when you say that you're going to get charged per unit test, because what's going to happen is that you're going to ship a Hello World application in 2 years, because I can write unit tests pretty much forever if I really wanted to. So what I want you to take away from this is that the reason why we are not charging people per unit test is very simple. Because the unit test has no value to the company, and you are being paid to make software that works so that the company can make money. It's one of those things where I talk to my friends who run their own businesses, and they have gotten accustomed to working with, I assume, idiots who try to, call in sick more often than they should. They try to cut corners and do the bare minimum of work, and then of course they get very upset when they don't get pay raises even though they do a shitty job, etc., etc. And all of this boils down to that selfish behavior, and then they sort of wonder why he, like my friends, have to start firing people when the economy takes a slight downturn. And I go, if you where do you think, it's the same thing for us software developers, where do you think your salary comes from? Or is it just that you don't care that the people who hired you to do a job, if they treat you well and you have a deal with them and so forth, you get paid a salary to produce software for them and so forth. If you don't understand that the code that you are producing is going to at some point convert into money, and that money is used to pay you, you lack one of those things that are very desirable in a software developer, which is the business mindset, the holistic picture. Or you do understand that and you just don't care, and you are what I call the scum of the earth. Have a great day.